Where'd you buy the costume? Party City?
It's my service uniform, sir. I'm traveling on orders.
Huh. Okay, sure. And I'm the president.
I have my military ID right here if you want to check.
Don't reach for anything. You think I don't know a fake ID when I see one?
I'm just standing here. I'm not resisting.
You're done talking. Get on the ground.
Officer Travis Hensley had absolutely no idea who he just put his hands on. In the next 12 minutes, the Department of Defense is going to descend on this small airport. 2 police careers are going to be permanently destroyed. That man in the costume wasn't a fake. He was an active-duty Senior Chief Navy SEAL with top-secret clearance. Hensley thought he was bullying a tourist. But he was actually assaulting a special warfare operator trained to survive the most hostile places on Earth. And the body cameras were capturing every second of the federal civil rights violation that's about to cost the department millions. Before I continue, let me ask you, have you ever been judged just by how you look? Drop your answer in the comments. But Officer Travis Hensley had no idea who he was screaming at. The man he was threatening was Senior Chief Rowan. He wasn't just a sailor. He was one of the Navy's elite. Rowan had spent decades serving his country. He had survived combat zones that most people only see in movies. He held the rank of Senior Chief Petty Officer. That is a big deal. It takes years of perfect service to reach that level. He was an expert in staying calm under pressure. He knew military law inside and out. He knew exactly what his rights were. But on this day, none of that seemed to matter to the man with the badge. Rowan was wearing his dress blues. This is the most formal uniform a sailor can wear. It commands respect. You don't just put it on for fun. You wear it for ceremonies or official travel. On this Tuesday morning, Senior Chief Rowan wasn't looking for a fight. He wasn't looking for trouble. He was just trying to get to his next duty station. He wanted to get a coffee, board his plane, and do his job. But Officer Hensley didn't see a hero. He saw a target. And that mistake was about to ruin his life. Officer Travis Hensley had a reputation in the Savannah Airport Police Department. He wasn't known for being helpful. He was known for being a hothead. He worked with a partner named Officer Cole Maddox. Maddox was the enabler. He was the guy who stood back and let Hensley do whatever he wanted. They fed off each other. There was a pattern here. This wasn't the first time Hensley had been aggressive. There were reports of him being rude to travelers before. He had a habit of stopping people who he thought looked suspicious. But usually, suspicious just meant they didn't look like him. He had a mindset that the badge gave him total power. He thought he could say anything. He thought he could do anything. He thought no one would question him. Other officers knew he was aggressive. But in police departments, there is often a blue wall of silence. Even if other cops didn't like what he did, they didn't stop him. They looked the other way. This allowed Hensley to feel untouchable. He felt like the king of his little airport kingdom. But there is a saying about power. It works until you try to use it on someone more powerful than you. Hensley had never tried to bully a target with the full weight of the Pentagon behind him. He was used to scaring regular people who didn't know the law. He was about to learn a very hard lesson. Do you know someone who lets power go to their head? Tell me below. It was a Tuesday morning in February. The time was exactly 6:58 a.m. The Savannah/Hilton Head International Airport was waking up. The terminal was getting busy. Families were dragging suitcases. Business people were checking their phones. Announcements echoed over the speakers. It was a normal, boring morning rush. Dozens of civilian witnesses were walking by. Airport staff were checking tickets at the counters. Officer Hensley and Officer Maddox were patrolling the floor. They were looking for something to do. Then Senior Chief Rowan walked in. He looked sharp. His uniform was pressed perfectly. His medals were straight. He stood tall. In a sea of people wearing sweatpants and hoodies, he stood out. Most people looked at him with respect. They saw a man serving his country, but Hensley saw something else. He saw a chance to exert authority. He approached Rowan. He didn't salute. He didn't say thank you for your service. He didn't even say good morning. He walked up with an accusation ready. He accused Rowan of stolen valor. This means pretending to be a soldier when you aren't. It is a disrespectful thing to do, but accusing a real soldier of it is even worse. That's when everything changed. Hensley decided this wasn't a soldier, it was a suspect. If you want to see justice served in stories like this, hit that subscribe button right now. Why are you wearing that? Hensley demanded. Rowan stopped walking. Excuse me, the uniform, Hensley pointed. You can't just wear that around here. I am on orders, officer, Rowan explained calmly. I am active duty. Hensley laughed. It was a mean, short sound. It looks fake to me. The stitching is wrong. This was absurd, the UNIF. M was perfect, but Hensley wasn't looking for facts, he was looking for a fight. Sir, I assure you it is real, Rowan said. He kept his voice low, he didn't want to make a scene. Show me some ID then, Hensley snapped. Okay, Rowan said. He moved his hand slowly toward his pocket. I have my CAC card right here. A CAC card is a military ID. It is federal property. Don't move, Hensley screamed suddenly. Rowan froze. You just asked for my ID. I said don't reach for anything, Hensley yelled. He was creating chaos on purpose. This is a tactic some bad officers use. They give confusing orders so they have an excuse to get physical. Officer Maddox stood by. He rested his hand on his holster. He didn't tell his partner to calm down. He just watched, ready to jump in. Put your hands up, Hensley shouted. My hands are up, Rowan said. His palms were open. He was showing he had no weapon. I am complying. You are resisting, Hensley lied. I am not resisting, Rowan repeated. Then Hensley snapped. He grabbed the senior chief by the arm. He didn't use normal procedure. He used rage. He swept Rowan's legs out from under him. He slammed a U.S. Navy SEAL face first into the hard linoleum floor. Smack. The sound turned heads across the terminal. Travelers gasped. Hensley jumped on Rowan's back. He jammed his knee into the SEAL's spine. He grabbed Rowan's wrists and twisted them hard. Stop fighting, Hensley screamed for the cameras. I am not fighting, Rowan said from the floor. His face was pressed against the dirty tile. His uniform was getting ruined, but he didn't fight back. He knew that if he fought back he might die. Cuff him, Hensley yelled to Maddox. They slapped handcuffs on a man who fights for their freedom. They dragged him up like a criminal. What Hensley didn't know was that the clock was already ticking on his career. The scene was ugly. People were staring, phones were out. Then Sergeant Renee Carver arrived. She was the supervisor on duty. She heard the commotion and ran over. She stopped dead in her tracks. She saw a man in full dress blues. He was handcuffed. He was standing awkwardly near the wall. His uniform was dusted with floor dirt. She looked at Hensley. She looked at Rowan. She knew immediately that something was very wrong. What is going on here? Carver asked. Her voice was sharp. He's a fake, Hensley said, breathless. Stolen valor. He resisted arrest. Rowan looked at the sergeant. He didn't scream. He didn't curse. He spoke with the authority of a senior chief. Ma'am, Rowan said, I am Senior Chief Petty Officer Malik Rowan, United States Navy. My ID is in my front pocket. These officers assaulted me. Carver looked at Hensley. Did you check his ID? He wouldn't show it to me, Hensley lied. He reached for a weapon. I reached for my wallet, Rowan corrected. Carver stepped forward. I'm going to check your ID now, okay? Yes, ma'am, Rowan said. Carver reached into his pocket. She pulled out the card. It was a standard, valid Department of Defense Common Access card. It had the chip. It had the hologram. It was undeniably real. She ran the name through her radio. 10 seconds later, the dispatch came back. Active duty, clean record, valid orders. Carver's face went pale. Realized what had just happened. Her officers had just beaten up a federal asset. Uncuff him, Carver ordered. But Sarge, he was acting crazy, Hensley tried to argue. I said uncuff him. Now, Carver yelled, wait until you see how quickly his story changes. Hensley reluctantly unlocked the cuffs. Rowan rubbed his wrists. He stood tall again. He brushed the dirt off his blues. Witnesses were speaking up now. That's a soldier, man, one guy yelled. He was recording on his phone. You guys are messed up, an airline staff member looked horrified. He was just standing there, she told Carver. He didn't do anything. The evidence was piling up instantly. Carver turned to Rowan. Sir, I am so sorry. I want a complaint form, Rowan said calmly, and I want your boss. Hensley stood there. He looked nervous for the first time. He realized the fake soldier was actually a man who could end his career. He looked suspicious, Hensley mumbled. I feared for my safety. You feared for your safety from a man standing at attention? Carver asked. She wasn't buying it. By now, Sergeant Carver realized her officers had just committed a federal civil rights violation against a high-ranking asset. She knew this wasn't going to stay local. This was going to go all the way to the top. Type busted if you think he knew he messed up. 10 minutes later, Chief Douglas Fenner walked in. He was the head of the airport police. He had been called at home. He walked straight to the back office where they were holding the officers. He didn't look happy. Show me the footage, Fenner said. Every officer wears a body camera. It records everything. Hensley couldn't hide from the video. They played TH. Tape on the monitor. Chief Fenner watched in silence. He saw Rowan standing calmly. He heard Hensley insult him. He saw Hensley escalate the situation for no reason. He saw the claim that Rowan lunged. Pause, Fenner said. On the screen, Rowan was perfectly still. His feet hadn't moved an inch. He didn't lunge, Fenner said. He didn't even flinch. He watched the ID check, or the lack of one. Hensley never even looked at the card before tackling him. He lied, Fenner said. He lied in the report. He lied to my face. The resistance, Hensley claimed, was non-existent. The threat was imaginary. Chief Fenner turned to Sergeant Carver. Suspension. Immediately, both of them take their badges, take their guns. This is a moment that rarely happens so fast. Usually departments wait. They say no comment. But the video was too clear. The victim was too high profile. Rowan was released. He was dusted off. Chief Fenner apologized to him personally. "We will handle this, Senior Chief," Fenner promised. But Rowan knew that an apology wasn't enough. He made a call to his chain of command. The United States Navy was notified. The NCIS, which stands for Naval Criminal Investigative Service, was alerted. These are federal agents. They don't mess around with local cops harassing their sailors. The investigation expanded instantly. It wasn't just about a rude cop anymore. It was about a violation of federal law. Rowan was allowed to board his flight, but he didn't leave quietly. He left with the names and badge numbers of every person involved. Hensley and Maddox were sent home. They walked out of the airport without their weapons. For the first time that day, they were the ones who looked like suspects, but apologies don't fix a shattered civil right. The Pentagon was now involved. If you support our troops, make sure you're subscribed. The incident report was filed at 10:00 a.m., but in the age of the internet, secrets don't stay secret. A witness had recorded part of the arrest on their phone. By the next morning, the video was online. It started on military blogs. Veterans saw it first. They were furious. They saw a brother in arms being treated like dirt. Then it hit the mainstream. Within 48 hours, the headline was everywhere: Navy SEAL arrested for being black in uniform. The video got millions of views. It was on YouTube. It was on Twitter. It was on Facebook. People were outraged. The comments section was on fire. "If they do this to a SEAL," one person wrote, "what do they do to regular people? That man fights for our country," another said, "and this is how he gets treated." Local news in Savannah picked it up. Then CNN, then Fox News. It was a PR nightmare for the airport. The Airport Commission had to release a statement. They promised transparency. They promised justice. But the public didn't want promises. They wanted action. Veterans groups started calling the city. They demanded the officers be fired. They demanded a federal investigation. The pressure was massive. Usually police unions fight to keep officers employed. But in this case, the union was quiet. The video was too damning. There was no defending it. Hensley's face was all over the news. The tough guy from the airport was now the most hated man in Savannah. This story was shared millions of times. Share it if you think others should see this. The court of public opinion had already reached a verdict, but the legal system was just getting started. Senior Chief Rowan didn't just let it go. He hired a lawyer. He filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against the officers and the airport. This is where the real dirt came out. During the lawsuit, the lawyers got access to internal files. They found emails. They found previous complaints against Officer Hensley. It turned out Hensley had a history of this. The airport knew he was aggressive. They knew he was a problem, but they had kept him on the job anyway. The discovery phase proved that this wasn't an accident. It was a pattern. The lawyers argued that Rowan was targeted because of his race. They argued that if a white man in a uniform had walked by, Hensley would have bought him a coffee. Instead, he put him in handcuffs. The settlement negotiations began. The airport didn't want this to go to a jury. A jury would have hated them. They agreed to pay. The amount was large. It was funded by the taxpayers. It was a huge check written to cover up a huge mistake, but the money wasn't the biggest loss for Hensley. The department concluded their internal investigation. Officer Travis Hensley was fired. His career was over. Officer Cole Maddox was also fired. He lost his job because he stood there and did nothing. He learned that silence has a cost too, but it got worse for them. The state of Georgia looked at their certifications. Every police officer needs a post-certification to work. Because they had lied on the report, their certifications were threatened. This means they couldn't just go to the next town and get a job as a cop. They were blacklisted. Hensley tried to defend himself. He told the review board, "I was just following protocol." The board rejected it. There is no protocol that says you slam a compliant soldier into the ground. Rowan accepted the settlement, but he said it wasn't about the cash. He wanted to force a change in policy. He wanted to make sure the next sailor walking through that airport didn't have to face a guy like Hensley. Hensley lost his badge because he couldn't see past his own bias. And now, he has to live with the fact that he destroyed his own life in just 12 minutes. Senior Chief Rowan spoke to the press after the dust settled. He stood at a podium. He wasn't in uniform this time. He was in a suit, but he still had that military bearing. He talked about the humiliation. "I have served in war zones," Rowan said. "I have been in places where people want to kill Americans, and I have been treated with more respect by the enemy than I was by those officers." That line hit hard. He explained how it felt to be on that floor. He was wearing the symbol of his country. He was helpless. People were watching him like he was a criminal. "It strips away your dignity," he said. He had a message for other officers. "Respect the uniform," he said, "but more importantly, respect the human being inside it." He also warned the public. He said that compliance does not guarantee safety. He did everything right. He spoke calmly. He didn't move. He followed orders, and he still got hurt. "If it can happen to me," he said, "it can happen to anyone." He thanked Sergeant Carver. He said that if she hadn't stepped in, things could have been much worse. She was the example of what a good officer looks like. "I fought for this country's freedom," Rowan finished. "That includes my own freedom to travel without harassment." This case is part of a bigger problem. Statistics show that minorities are stopped more often in transit hubs. It's often called flying while black. Usually when this happens, people blame the victim. They say, "He must have done something wrong." But Rowan was the perfect victim. He was a SEAL. He was dressed perfectly. He proved that respectability doesn't save you from bias. Savannah Airport changed its use of force rules because of this. But we have to ask, how many people get arrested who aren't Navy SEALs? So let me ask you, do you think Hensley would have stopped a white man in that uniform? Do you think Maddox should have been fired for just standing there? Do we trust airport security to know the difference between a threat and a hero? Because if a Navy SEAL isn't safe from profiling, none of us are. If we don't fix the training, then we're just waiting for the next Hensley, the next Rowan, the next lawsuit. Comment below if you believe justice was served. If you think stories like this matter, hit that subscribe button. We are tracking 3 more cases involving wrongful arrests of veterans. You don't want to miss what we uncover next. We're going to keep exposing these stories. We're going to keep demanding better. This isn't just about one bad cop or one sailor. It's about all of us. This is Retail Justice Files. We'll see you in the next investigation.